Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the greatest player of all time in the red, the finisher. It's Serral, once again facing off against the best Protoss in the world. In the blue, we have MaxPax, a best of 5 Protoss versus Zerg to determine who will move on to the grand finals of the Liu Championships and who's going to be relegated to the best of the rest. And speaking of the best, I'd like to shout out to the sponsors of this video. You. Thank you for watching, thank you for the motivation, and thank you for smashing that like button, and maybe even subscribing. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,526 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And while Serral's actually Zergling rushing, I'll probably do it anyways, but thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than MaxPax with the series starting up. We just maybe 2 days ago, they played another series starting on this exact map, and MaxPax did not probe scout. He got greedy. He saw nothing. And this time around, Serral actually taking full advantage of that. The Zerglings will be heading in. He's not even chrono boosting the Adept. This time around, MaxPax cut the corner, and he wiped out on the turn. As the pylon is under attack, he just slaps a pylon on the other side of the gateway. The probes are already pulled off the line. The only fighting units he has. The Adept is only 2/3 of the way done. A Stargate is on the way in the main. 12 probes have to be pulled off the line to start things off. And Serral has already taken the initiative, grabbed it early, and may rip it away from MaxPax entirely. Fighting the probes outright, the pylon actually pitting the Zerglings up against it, and the probes getting a pretty good trade. The Zerglings unable to slip away from the surround. The citizen's arrest is strong, and only 2 probes dead thus far. He gets into the main, he's going to spot the Stargate, but of course, nothing in life is free, except smashing that like button. But Serral invested a lot of his potential early economy in getting this done. He invested a lot of those early drones, and in general has slowed down significantly, but at the same time, obviously has a full scout of what MaxPax is planning to do. So, while Serral might not quite have the economy back at home, he has all the initiative. He depowered the cyber core. That means Warp Gate is a long way off, and he'll have plenty of time to react to the Oracle coming across the map. So overall, Serral opening things up with a light starter cheese. All right, nothing too crazy, just something to keep them on their toes and make it so they can't cut any of those corners yet again. Serral adapting in yet another series between these two, as they've had so many in just the last couple weeks. I think Serral is slightly ahead in terms of game wins, and he's won the last 2 series in general, but things can change quickly. In this matchup comes in Oracle taking a lot of damage. Spore Crawler not yet done. The Queen, Brenda, get out of the... passing out the... Ugh. How many times? Oh my... Sorry. The Queen's tripping over each other. A huge Zergling counter, though. Oracle's on the other side of the map. You can't recall to a Nexus that's halfway done, especially if that Nexus is going to be canceled anyways. Oracle heading back on the north side, but the Nexus will be gone well before it can come to protect it. Adept is tucked back into the pylon corner, and a significant delay. This has gone from a tenuous position where Serral was in a kind of a awkward spot economically, but still had map control, to Serral just being ahead. The Oracle has to stay back at home, has plenty of energy with energy recharge, but it's pretty much anchored back at this base because Serral has enough Zerglings to keep him busy. The Overlord came in. It actually got a full scout on the Twilight in the Forge, and will try to glide away as quickly as possible, and may actually escape off into the orbital sunset. Oh, well, that's sad. Just have to pay respects. Well, apparently there is no escape. The Stalker's doing their job. Takes it down. Oracle will keep the Zerglings from taking down the rocks down the center, and will light up the creep tumors to clear them away itself. But the Queens are coming up, politely yet firmly, driving that Oracle out of the way. And it's going to be Blink. It's going to be +1. Serral grinding out a lot of economic opportunity with the map control the Zerglings have already created. Serral, throughout the last few days and few weeks in the new patch, going from the predictable Serral, who honestly players like Clem and MaxPax and kind of exclusively Clem and MaxPax have figured out, to just these little adjustments, these little details. All right, putting a racing stripe on, an extra spoiler, making a quick turn. The Zerglings early on, just 6 links. If he had committed to like 10 or 12 links, he might have just won the game. But of course, if MaxPax had scouted, he might have just lost it there. And Serral unwilling to commit to that level of cheese, but still giving him the initiative. And the Blink Stalkers are heading up, the Oracles escorting to make sure the Zerglings won't be able to surround him easily. Serral has a Spire on the way, and Mutas can be a devastating choice if the ground army isn't strong enough to force Serral into more Roaches and Lings. MaxPax has no idea that this is coming, and what he doesn't know can certainly hurt him. But the Roaches and Lings will have to deal with the Stalkers first. MaxPax 64 probes to 68 drones. Serral already taking an alternative base to the north side. Roaches and Lings, no Roach speed yet, just Sloaches for now. The Zergling spotting for both 4th bases. He already has units on location. Cutting off some of the reinforcing Stalkers as well. Storm is already on the way for MaxPax, but will not be part of this initial push. Gets 2 kills. +1 is now done, but MaxPax forced to pull back for just a few more Zerglings, which is the story of the game so far. The muted den is completed. Another few dozen Zerglings in production. Almost no larvae. 2 of the queens frozen out by the stasis. Zerglings at the back, very aware of the threat the stasis poses. A couple more at the back, but for now, MaxPax sold out. 9 Mutalisks in production. Not even much of a mutal risk at this point. Even if they get spotted at this stage, the response will cost MaxPax so much time. And there's enough Roaches and Lings that I don't think he can make progress here either. Serral will be holding on to bases 4 and 5. He has 79 drones. He has 9 mutas unscouted and soon to be uncontested. He's going to be dealing with Blink Stalkers and Storm, and there's some basic defenses. But it's about the space created. Oh, look at the... Serral clears out the watchtower before sending the mutas right past it, which means that MaxPax has absolutely no idea this is coming. He's building a couple cannons, but that is just your basic anti-Zergling run-by sort of setup. Contaminate. Unfortunately, Storm is already done, but if he was able to delay Storm any further, that could just be a winning move right there. But the mutas are headed into the main, completely uncontested. MaxPax forced to recall immediately. The Stalker's out of position. Can he break through to the 4th base, which is about to complete? Storms washing over everything. Apocalyptic storms on the Roaches. But if anything can survive the apocalypse, Roaches are on the short list. The mutas combine. Archon's taken down before seeing the light of day. A handful of Stalkers to contest, but the Zerglings are about to come out of stasis. The last cannon is taken down. 9 probes have been slaughtered mercilessly. And Zerglings just cutting off the front line. Serral's at 200 supply, 9.5 minutes in. He started the game with a full first Zergling rush and has wasted no time progressing to the rest of the tech tree. A hive is already on the way. The Zerglings looking for the surround. The muta's off to the side. But the Zerglings with +1 and the Roaches behind are more than enough to force MaxPax back yet again. 91 drones. Serral with a massive economy, and he can wield it like a sledgehammer to crush MaxPax underneath. The muta's finding more and more and more kills. Takes 5 of them in order to one-shot probes. He has just over that number still. No, that might change momentarily. Serral still maxed, and the Zerglings at the front, the Cybercore at the wall. Juggles back the Templar. The Storms could be helpful, but he's just stemming the tide, turning it around. Storms on the mutas, thin out the Zerglings. Amazing storms. Hits pretty much every single unit. The Zerglings evaporate about maximum damage, but Serral can replace those units almost as easily. Another couple dozen Banelings. Baneling speed is done. And a roll by into the 3rd base where most of the probes are concentrated could be a final blow. MaxPax has the units. Wait, how many Templar? 4 Templar. I imagine they're in the Warp Prism. The Bane, where you go? He rolls by And, well, a sentry is warped in, force field, but the banelings just go around, and now the probes are trapped in a prison of their own design. 17 probes obliterated by the banelings, and MaxPax is yet again hobbled by the damage Serral is able to put out. Another wave of lings and banes. The base to the 3 o'clock will be canceled before it's even halfway done. The Ravagers and Banelings coming up the ramp. The Warp Prism on the other side. The storms washing over everything, thinning out many of the Banes. But there's just too many of them. We cannot get out. They are coming. Roaches and Lings overrunning. A couple more Archons taken down. 18 probes. I'm not sure. I think that was just another probe or two combined. I don't know how many Mutas are out in the corner. The Mutas died at some point, flying into something, but Serral's replaced it. There's a Greater Spire on the way. A Zealot drop attempted, but get off my creep. Good job, Brenda. Don't be condescending. That means talking down to you? Well, you have to, because you're on the ground. You said you wouldn't bring that up. Stop being... Moving on. Sorry, Serral... Moving in again, the storm's just thinning things out, but the endless Zerg, the Ravagers wading through. Well, there is a limit. There is a limit to how many storms you can handle. And Serral is certainly testing it. That last fight was, yeah, MaxPax has killed over double the minerals, though a similar amount of gas. And this is the best opportunity. The army supplies, dangerously close to even. 85 to 93. MaxPax, adrenal glands and +2 melee are done, though. The storms are the only thing that can keep the Zerglings from ripping him to shreds, I say. Another counterattack of Lings. Gonna go for the Templar. Get ahead of it. Does not have much armor with those fancy robes. More storms, but MaxPax, besieged, has been unable to escape from his first 3 bases, whereas Serral is on base number 6, including the gold down the center. The income... Wow. All right. The income gap is, right now, Serral's in a completely different tax bracket. Broodlords on the way. The action is morphing them over the top of the Zealots. Here comes MaxPax. The drone's actually vulnerable. There's almost no units here to defend. The Banelings rolling through. So many Banelings, but a stasis combined with Storm. I don't know if the stasis is helping or hurting. It'll help them kill the base, but those Banelings will actually survive the storm because of it. The Queen's holding the line in the middle of the minerals. He wants to stick around to kill the Banes, but he only has a couple more storms left. And now they're exhausted. The Banes are going to come out of stasis. Serral is just overrunning the field, and MaxPax doesn't have much to go back to. The Archon's pulling back. There's a few charge lots, but the Queens are actually winning the fight yet again on the home front. 2 Broodlords in production. I think unnecessary, but certainly welcome for the Zerg army. The Broodlords, those are GG Lords right there. Yeah. MaxPax saw him with an observer, and he observed the G key on his keyboard and proceeded to hit it quickly. A decisive Game 1 victory. Serral with the early cheese and pulling it off. If MaxPax had probe scouted, it probably still would have been helpful. But he can wall off, he can chrono boost that first adept, he already has the probes. It doesn't do nearly as much. He had to pull the probes off the line. Obviously, everything was scouted. And then the cancel on the 3rd is what really sold it. Serral knew what he wanted from the very start. He had the Zerglings. He was already building drones by the time the Zerglings got in the base. He wasn't like, maybe it'll do a lot of damage. No. He's making 6 Lings. Either they do damage or they don't, but we're already moving on. And that has value in and of itself. MaxPax sent out a probe at the beginning of the game. Not even off a pylon. We're 15 seconds in. He has no pylon. He wants to block this base, and he wants to scout, and he wants to do it as soon as possible. You literally can't get any quicker than this. Serral doing a 15 Overlord, which means the first Overlord will spot the probe that shows up on the other side of the map. And because Serral built the Overlord instead of going straight for a hatchery, I think if you skip the Overlord and go straight for a hatch, you can get it before the probe even gets there, even at the beginning. but then the rest of your build is significantly further behind. If you don't have that second overlord, you can't actually use your larva in order to build more drones, and you're just kind of behind on your larva rotation, and the spreadsheet simulator that is early game Zerg gets all thrown out of whack. All right. Spawning pool of gas. MaxPax baiting him into maybe trying to attack the probe. Now just... let's see it. Let's see the 1000 APM gather micro. Yeah. Trying to keep the probe from flirting with the minerals and convincing... So what they're doing is holding down the gather key, which actually has a hotkey. G by default. Not the same one you tap out of the game with. In order to just keep issuing a command. Or they could just be spamming right click. But if it's that high of an APM, it's usually just the gather key. For this moment when literally nothing else is happening and we watch the probe try to flirt with the minerals and convince them that they don't need drones to mine from them. Which is a mild to moderate annoyance. And if you do this perfectly and they don't micro against it, you can deny them not 5, not 10, but sometimes up to 15 minerals. So, and then you can take 5 more and call it a day. So if MaxPax wins this game by less than 20 minerals, which is a full interceptor, and then some, well, you know what? You know who to credit. Don't try this at home. Of course, that would have required loading into a 1v1 game, so I don't think too many people are at risk here. But you can pretend to by smashing that like button. A Zergling's trying to slip by. So far, successfully doing so. Just 2 lanes this time, and obviously not nearly as early. But we'll slip in and get a full scout. Just a, well, wait, are they leaving? Okay, you don't even want to see if he's going... Of course he's going Stargate, but, like... You don't even want to make sure? Ah, yes. Courage the cowardly Zerglings. Adept. Driven away. The second Adept is hunting down... You're gonna die anyways. I guess... There's some weird graphical glitch there, but also... I guess he bought a little... He bought a little time on the Adept before it kid. Whatever. No sort of filler BS there. Kind of weird not to send the links in, but Zergling speed now done. Gonna outrun the Adepts, which are shading back to protect potentially a third base. Heard an energy recharge on that first Oracle, and now the team's all here. 2 Adepts and an Oracle with so much energy. The addition of energy recharge for the removal of shield battery overcharge has given players like MaxPax, and especially MaxPax, so many more options in the early game. The Oracle can now clear creep effectively on its own. Before, it would pretty much exhaust all of your energy just to do a little bit of that. But now he just leaves the Oracle on all night, waiting for an opportunity to maybe kill some drones, and exploiting the fact that he was able to block the Natchery with that early probe. But the Queens come out, and we'll be able to drive the Overlord back for now. The Adepts complete the shade in the main. And Zerglings, 4 drones dead already. I don't think Serral realized he was going to commit. But he jams himself in between the minerals. 5 drones dead. Oracle coming in for more. Gets 1 more before a Spore Crawler can come up. Another Overlord. Well, Oracle comes in again. Even more drones gonna go... Oh, loses 3 more, and... Susan, why are they... It feels sometimes like this game is just about worker harassment as opposed to strategy. All right, Brenda, this is a Blizzard game. That is the strategy. Oh, Susan, that's messed up. You can't say... You're not wrong, but, like... You're out of line. Sorry. I blacked out for... Serral trying to counterattack, but so far 9 drones, 7 Zerglings dead. He got 2 Adepts, but they were traded out. 4th base is on the way for Serral. And it's really a momentum thing in early game Zerg versus Protoss. If the damage is done... He's building 14 drones at a time, but right now only has 7 Zerglings. So... Still a vulnerable point here. Gonna clear out some more of the creep in between the bases as well, though this Oracle is gonna be driven away. The Adepts get back into the mineral line. Serral building another round. But if the first Adepts get damage, then Serral gets a little greedy, doesn't have that many lings. Now the Adepts get more damage. Now Serral gets even greedier, doesn't have that many lings, and then the follow-up. And the rabbit hole spirals. Serral needs to look for some sort of timing. He's building even more Zerglings now. He's up to 68 drones, but losing 12 of them in the early game is certainly not an ideal start. Not critical damage, but much like MaxPax not being able to get his third base in the previous game, does put him in an uncomfortable position going into the mid-game here. Oracle's escorting some soon-to-be Blink Stalkers with +1. Cannon in the mineral line, slips through with the Zerglings, and surrounds the shield battery. Adept will be reshielded. The probes are trying to help out. Stalkers warped in. Oracle's come back to defend. Queen assassinated by the Stalkers. So far, MaxPax holding the counterattack. Doesn't have a fourth base yet, but both players had exactly 66 workers. Full 3-base saturation. It's better to have it spread out to more bases, but not a meaningful difference at this stage. Serral with significantly more mineral income. MaxPax with a little less gas. And now the Blink Stalkers, but he can blink back. He has the stasis to protect. Serral very aware of that, but as he splits Zerglings off to deal with the stasis, a lot of them get stuck. And since he can't commit to the full surround, the Banelings rolling in, well, okay, waddling in awkwardly to the third, but the pylon speed bump there actually working perfectly. And Serral is down. He has 50 Zerglings, but half of them are in stasis, and the other half were halfway across the map. And now, less than half of them will be able to attack the Stalkers at all. Meanwhile, trying to fall back. Blink. Is it off cooldown? I'm sure we'll know the moment it is. Blink's off of the creep. The Zergling's getting a lot of surface area on the Stalkers, but MaxPax doing an incredible job of turning what could have been a complete disaster into a tactical withdrawal. That was still a pretty devastating. 96 Zerglings dead now for 9 Stalkers. Not the worst trade, but certainly not the overwhelming victory that Serral was aiming for by building that many Zerglings in the first place. He has no other tech. He has a Hydra Den done, but he's just now starting the Hydras. Hydra Speed is about to complete, and until they get the Hydra Speed upgrade, they're kind of useless, especially off the creep. Infestation pit on the way. More gateways for MaxPax, who I believe has completed Storm. Indeed he has. So a major shift here. Storm, a devastating up. We already saw in a game that Serral, for the most part, was dominating MaxPax. The Storm certainly made Serral pay quite a price. And now, the price has gone up. Serral does not have the units to throw away like he did in the previous game. He does not have the economy. We're watching the awkward charge lots can't help themselves but throw into the Banelings like it's a cinematic scenario. Banelings rolling through. Hydras on the low ground. Templar not quite in position for Storm. Banelings find a few of the probes. Those Stalkers absorb most of the damage. 6 probes dead. Warp Prism headed for the main base. Serral pulling back with a lot of his units and just started a hive. So focused on having that maximum mid-game army composition. But MaxPax is maxing out very quickly, and pretty soon he can pack his bags and come straight across the map. He's going to have Templar with energy. He's going to have +2 ground weapons. He has Archons in the mix. He still has the Oracles and Observers as well. The creep spread is barely outside of the bases at all, especially the northern one. Serral's now getting a Lurker Den, a Hive, more Banelings, but no more upgrades in production, and the Lurkers aren't ready yet. So this is a precarious moment for the finisher, as he's up against almost full-strength Protoss at this time. The storms are cataclysmic. Hit absolutely everything. Serral drops to a supply deficit. Replenishes quickly, but losing, wow, 51 Zerglings and 21 Banelings for 9 Zealots and 6 Stalkers. Gateway units are just a buffer for the Templar and the Archons here. But the Blink Stalkers are definitely important as well. More storms. This is the mark on one, but another battle group over to the right flank, and behind it, a fleet beacon is lit as well, as MaxPax has the option to tech all the way up towards Mothership, Tempest, and potentially carriers. But he's closing in on both outlying bases simultaneously. The storm's protecting everything. The stasis protecting the banelings from the storms, somewhat awkwardly. The Archons will get surrounded over to the right flank, but Serral just taps out. He's overrun on both sides, stretched far too thinly, and it all falls apart. This time around, MaxPax took the initiative early, and he carried that momentum all the way to a victory. He's able to lay down the wing quite quickly as well, because Serral simply didn't have the tech to challenge him. If there's no lurkers, there's no Vipers, and Vipers are kind of questionable, to be honest, in that scenario. Serral just didn't get any counter damage done. He was unable to interrupt MaxPax's game plan. And, well, that plan worked out better. We're going in to El Dorado, our most spicy and unique map of the pool. And MaxPax has learned his lesson. And in fact, is ready to teach his own. And that lesson is always, even if it's Serral, we probe scout. Okay? Literally the beginning of the game. Will Serral be able to get his Natchery in time? I don't think so. He's just going to go with the pool. Not even bothering. Did he? He's just predicting it, I guess, with the pool first. But on the low ground, the probe's there. It's a fake. He really doesn't want to take an outside base. He'd rather either take the low ground. Serral successfully outmaneuvers the probe. And will be able to take his natural. Interesting that MaxPax scouted for the outlying base before scouting for an early pool. I guess an early pool is going to be happening no matter what. The response to it, you only have so many minerals. You only have so many resources. You can't add much to the build, even if you do scout the early pool. So there's no point in panicking. The only acknowledgement he's making is that indeed, yes, there could be Zerglings. He's getting a Cyber Core before his Nexus. But also, important to note, Serral did not have a gas. And I'm pretty sure MaxPax was checking the larva and saw that he wasn't banking it up for the Zerglings either. On top of that, he can spot with the probe how many Zerglings are coming out. You can just count them. There's not going to be that many. If you can count to 2, that should cover it. Oh, the probe. That was awkward. Probe somehow gets stuck out. Zerglings just chilling. So, will Serral go for the low ground base? He does have gas on the way. Okay. Gonna mine through the golden mineral wall. Stargate in production. First adept coming across. But MaxPax, you fool me once. And I won't get fooled again. I love that he's literally doing... It's partially map dependent. Amygdala has such a ridiculously long ground rush distance because of all the rocks. But Serral has forced him in the minimalist possible fashion to respect the early Zerg rush options. Stargate completes. What's it going to? Void Ray. Void Ray first. Wants to deny the Overlord scouts. Just generally keep his options open. I'm not surprised. It's a bit of an awkward start for both sides. Both of them going to have slightly lower economies than usual, which means denying as much vision as possible. MaxPax comes in, slices off a creep tumor. There's enough Zerglings in the main that'll have to just settle for his oncology degree. But so far, and an Oracle behind. Void Ray lights up, burns through the Ovi like an overripe tomato, and Serral's actually a little supply block, not anticipating losing that Ovi so quick. He's got a couple more in production, but was not expecting to lose it. He didn't see the Void Ray with the Overlord near the Stargate. So, awkward start. But, wow. MaxPax not afraid to get a little greedy, though. He doesn't even have a wall in at the natural. The Zerglings could just run right in. They're going to go for the third. Another Overlord is going to be popped by the Void Ray. Now working on that third base. Adepts get into the natural. 3 drones dead. Zerglings driven back by an energy recharged Oracle. Queens will usher away the Void Ray for now, and 2 more coming down to deal with it. Robotics facility, and later gases for MaxPax, I think. Therefore I am. But also, this could be an Archon drop. This is that mana style build. And honestly, on a map like this, where ground attacks are difficult at best, especially early on, the Archon drop, or even a rush to Storm, might be a strong option. Because he's not going for the Forge. The Robo, likely for a Warp Prism. Occasionally we see a Mortal Sentry, but it still has some of the same weaknesses of Blink Stalkers in dying outright to things like Ravager Ling. Okay, what's it gonna be, MaxPax? Queens, constantly having to deal with the Void Ray. Templar, okay. Templar Archives. So I zoned, the Twilight zoned out for a moment. No, Jimmy, edit that out. It's just, we're gonna not, no. Don't quote me. In general. Templar Archives on the way. Forge has begun. Warp Prism, I believe, was spotted by the Zerglings, but the Robo definitely was, so it's already pretty clear to Serral what he's dealing with, at least the options. And almost all the options will require roaches. 8 sloaches on the way. Lair is about to complete. Charge has begun. MaxPax is already up to 60 probes. He is not mining through the mineral wall. He has no intent to expand down to the south side of the map. It seems like he's going to keep expanding up to the top right. Archons merging. And behind it, a second robotics facility. So MaxPax is going to try to bait out mass roaches and just pummel them into oblivion with Immortals. Now, we're still pretty far off. That stasis at the back. Archons gonna start chewing through the roaches, but the roaches gnawing on them as well. And an infestation pit at a curious timing. Oh, this is some intense deja vu. I believe the last time they played on this map, which was like a day ago, Serral did a mass swarm host build without even a Nidus, just kind of sending it out there. And, you know, there it is! Sir Richard and his band of swarm host brethren. Not an accident, as his weird cousin Ricky that sometimes shows up when players are panicking and accidentally hit the 8 key while selecting their larva. But instead going to exploit the unique nature and the close air distance here to potentially just chew away at MaxPax's base with impunity. There's one Void Ray in the Archon drop, and the Queens are ready to deal with it. Trying to drive it back. Transfuses come through. Warp Prism taking some damage. Void Ray drifting back as well. The main base, the tech is quite well tucked in. There's a single cannon in the mineral line. Oh, he's getting suspicious here. The fact that Serral has not really done any sort of attack means he's kind of putting up defenses. Though I don't know if he expects this awkward tag team of, like, oversized penguins waddling towards his base. The Queen's here to protect them from, I guess, just the one, maybe the Archon drop as well, but the Swarm Host in position. The Void Ray will spot them. And the alarm bells are rung as the Locusts are heading towards the main. He warps in some Zealots, which I guess will help body block, but they're just going to kind of die. Oracle, energy recharge, juggling the Archons as well to deal with it. If he actually gets an Archon, that'd be a pretty huge win. Meanwhile, the damage being done. Roaches and Ravagers up to the north side. Storm does almost maximum damage. Corrosive Bile to zone it out. This Nexus does not have much HP. Will likely be canceled. And not much of an answer here. The roaches softened up even more, but he gets the base. Objective accomplished, and now Serral has the 6 o'clock. The queens are moving up, and... Susan! There's one void ray! Can't you deal with it? No! I didn't... He just flew away! That feels a little unfair. Alright, we're not here to debate. Pay attention! Sorry, I, sometimes don't know what's happening. And then sometimes I know less. But Immortals are on the way. Another wave of Locusts. MaxPax is putting together one of the most dangerous armies. He's got 69 worker supply, 69 army supply. He's got a pretty nice position on the map. But he cannot afford to keep sitting back. Swarm hosts are designed to grind you down. A wave defense, effectively a tower defense sort of situation. The Immortal count is getting obscenely high. He's at 9 of them and counting. The Archons obliterate one of the queens. Another queen is getting surprisingly close to the natural. More roaches split up. Serral's actually maxed out, and I think he's trying to trade out some of this army. The Archon's juggling again. Energy recharges to get some storms. These roaches are incredibly super dead as the Immortals pummel them. But he's actually out of position to defend the base. Down the center, Serral gets it again. MaxPax limited to just 3 bases, while Serral's going up to 5. And he has a gold base with 2 gas geysers. 1 Archon taken out. Whips out the corrosive biles, forces some of the army back. Another Archon is taken down. And lurkers are on the way behind. The mineral wall has been mined out, opening up an opportunity. I think he actually took down the rock tower as well. Archon drop will be dealt with. Lurkers are on the field. Archon's still quite a threat. Swarm host idling down by the southern side. And this is the strongest push that MaxPax has put together. And he needs to put some pressure on because the swarm hosts keep getting damage done. But that is a lot of Immortals. A wall of Immortals. Storms on the Roach Warren. He's already rebuilding another Roach Warren, so he knows where this is going. Lurker range completes. A very important upgrade at this stage. Locust getting a bit more damage. Almost take out one of the cannons. Zerglings chewing through some down the center. He still doesn't have... He hasn't even attempted that top right corner. He has not mined through the mineral wall. But Archons and charge lots making their way through to the 6 o'clock base. As the defenses weren't quite enough to stop them. The charge lot's overrunning. The Immortal, Archon, and more importantly, Templar army is closing in. Swarm hosts on one side, Lurkers on another, and MaxPax down the center. The Locusts get stormed. One of the Archons will be caught in the midst of everything. Void Ray still here finding some damage. I think it killed a Swarm host or 2. Behind it, the Fleet Beacon is lit as MaxPax, I think, correctly identifies that this ground army is unlikely to be able to end the game on its own, despite how incredibly strong it is. The very simple fact is Serral will not give him a straight-up fight. He will not just fight in a massive concave in the field where he can get all the storms and pick it apart with the Immortals. He still has the Swarm host. He still has plenty of lurkers. He's going to try to make sure that MaxPax is unable to mine effectively and eventually whittle down the army. The Queen's holding. The Warp Prism taking a lot of damage and will get knocked out of the sky to the south by the Hydras. And without the Prism dragging some of the units out of position, MaxPax is limited to the Immortal Archon army down the center. I would say the CIA build, which is Charge Lot Immortal Archon. But I don't think there's a single Zealot in there. That is an incredibly strong. The Charge Lot is relegated to Watchtower duty. Meanwhile, the Swarm hosts have switched with the Lurkers and are now on the north side of things, heading straight for the Nexus. There is a shield battery. He's trying to pat the Nexus on the back. He's right-clicked on it, and the Locusts, 1 second before their death, will take the Nexus with them. A Nidus to the north side. The Lurkers are boxing out MaxPax's army down the center, and MaxPax still only has 3 bases. A single charge lot will spot the Swarm host maneuvering. Serral only has 58 drones. When you have this many Swarm hosts, you need as much army supply as possible to fight the rest of your battles. And that means his economy isn't massive. Oh, remember me! 1 Swarm host chopped to pieces while the rest are able to slip into the escape Nidus. Immortals might be able to isolate the base to the top left. Mothership is nearly complete. MaxPax starting to close in. But the main base is mining out for both sides. The gas is going to be drying up momentarily as well. This base is obliterated. No cancel from Serral. Not a huge deal at this stage of the game. The Nidus in the main. Void Ray, I think just A moved over here. He's not really paying attention as he jumps the army. Gets 1 or 2 of the Templar. Void Ray, Nidus, it's spotted. He lights it up a little bit on the late side of things. MaxPax forced to pull back. He actually Mothership recalls some of his units up to the north side. The Nidus is taken out. Serral doesn't send anything through it. There's still some swarm hosts to the north. Immortals. So many Immortals. An obscene. He has 12 Immortals. My. Well, you want to live forever? But the swarm hosts and lurkers combining, circumventing this entire army. And again, MaxPax is going to lose his 4th base for what seems like the 4th or 5th time. That's his 3rd Nexus. All right, but several have been canceled as well. The southern half of the map will be completely isolated and obliterated. So Serral won't have that much economy either. But he continues forward, wading through the storm, picking off some of these Immortals. Will recall out with the next side. Almost gets a 3rd one. Meanwhile, the lurkers... He just used the recall, though. He can't recall the Mothership in the Templar. Is there any detection at home for these lurkers? Technically, yes, but practically... The Locusts are coming in. This is the last real mining base. I guess the Natural still has a few resources at it. Meanwhile, the Tempests are going forward. MaxPax, the Mothership, the Tempest. He has an army that can do the damage. But, oh no, oh no. Oh, is he going? Time Warp. Hydra Lunge. Trying to catch him on the ramp. Another Nidus. The Tempest working towards it, but there is some energy ready. Time is not on your side, MaxPax. He has a massive army with very dangerous units. But Serral still has some mining. Does he have a Spire? He does. He's building some Corruptors now. He really doesn't have that much economy. Only 150 gas in the bank, though he is maxed out. And he's gonna kill the Fleet Beacon. And in MaxPax's defense, I don't think the edge of the Natural towards the corner there was supposed to be a vulnerable location. But yet here we are. The Swarm Host managed to take it out. He's only lost 2 of them throughout this. And both quite dramatically. The ragtag band of awkward Zerg units up to the north side. A single Zealot. Billy! Oh, so angry. No, it's Bob, the Rage Lot. Gonna try to chop through a hatchery all on his own. Not that there's much there to deal with it. MaxPax, his army supply is massive, but he's down to almost no mining. The Swarm Host still fighting an opportunity. The hatchery's at half HP. +3 ground weapons and +1 air weapons for MaxPax against +3 ranged attack for Serral, and that's it. The conspicuous changelings. The Nidus repositioning. Locust just sending it from the top right side. The Vipers! Feedback! Loses 1 Viper, the other wiped out of energy. Doesn't quite get the target fire. But Serral doesn't really have the economy to be rebuilding Vipers right now. 1,800, 700 in the bank, but he's dealing with Mass Tempest Mothership. I don't believe there's tectonic destabilizers. No, you can tell by the lack of Dorito dust and Tempest shots. Few more units getting caught in the lurker spines as they come around. Serral trying to make sure there's always something to look at on the other side of the map. So that way MaxPax can't focus on maneuvering this incredibly powerful army. The Hydras are driven back with the storms. The Swarm Hosts have recharged, re-incubated, and are ready to throw the Locusts in again. And the Lurkers are now inside the base, behind the wall. And I think I'm obligated at this point to say that in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. That is the technical solution. And right now, we're kind of barreling towards it. As Serral gets closer and closer, the Lurkers will unburrow and pop back into the Nidus. An awkward amount. He brought the Mothership back in order to crush this. The rest of the army is still very strong, but Feels like a risky move to divide his army like this, and Serral will try to take full advantage of it. Has to storm on top of his own units, which have more HP, but can only weather it for so long. The Archon's very helpful. Several of the Corruptors go down. And the fight has continued for 6 minutes straight. MaxPax has killed significantly more gas. But Serral's had more to fall back to. Yet another Queen is taken down. Another Nidus is on the way. MaxPax. Well. The Lurkers at the natural. The spines. A chiropractor's office of spines in the top left. The Lurkers are slicing through. There's a dozen. MaxPax has less probes than he started with. There's no detection for the Lurkers back at home. And he's stalled out. MaxPax still has a very dangerous... He's doing the mass recall into the main. Drops the... Oh no! Some of them stranded on the wrong side. Not too many of them, and honestly, they should be able to make it. That observer gets taken down. He has more where that came from. The storm's all over the Lurkers. Melting to the storm, the mothership overhead, and Serral scrambling to reposition. Hydra's being chased down. The Immortals are holding on the low ground. And, well, MaxPax cleaving into the heart of the swarm. Still getting a lot... MaxPax. 2020 hindsight in the game. I mean, it's not good, but okay, let's go to the max cam. The Corruptors. He sees the Immortals. He sees the Immortals getting killed, and he's like, that's it. He has too much. Now, we know that the anti-air left for Serral. He's got 4 more Corruptors on the way. The anti-air and the money in the bank for Serral. And he could easily lose the Spire as well. 2 of those Corruptors will die the moment they pop out. There are still 5 Tempests on the field. Many of those Corruptors are bruised. He has +2 air weapons against +0 upgrades. I mean, there are some Hydras. Most of them are on the other side of the map, but he just killed the Nidus. He just killed the Nidus. And he can't bring those Hydras back quickly. There's still detection, right? There's still 2 observers. They're right there, but... I don't know. And he has a mothership. It's up to him, but... I don't think you can leave the game while you still have a... You shouldn't be... It should just be grayed out. You shouldn't be able to leave the game while there's still a mothership. I think this is still Serral's game to lose, but there are many, many ways he could still lose it. Because the anti-air options are so... Like, the mothership itself... The mothership itself can fight, like, half a dozen Hydras. Let alone with those Tempests and any amount of storm. There's still game to be played here, but MaxPax decides that he's done with it. I don't know. Well, we'll see if that comes back to bite him. As now Serral is on match point. What have you done? Oh, MaxPax. Much like his emotional counterpart Clem has a tendency to sometimes hit the GG a little early. I mean, that one. I would say, well, one, you're not allowed to. The new rule, you can't GG. You have to just kill your own mothership to GG. All right? First. 2% chance. If there's more than a 2% chance, even if that chance is your opponent just throws their whole army into storm, you keep playing it out. I would put that at well over a 25% chance of MaxPax being able to play out that game from our position as observers. And this is not unprecedented. He did that against Serral like a week ago in a game that even MaxPax himself admitted that he was ahead. Maybe, well, more ahead than that last one. But, and for the fans, Max, if that's your real name, which I think we know that, but nothing else. Maybe I'm MaxPax, and I just rage quit sometimes. At least half of that is true. At least. But what do you think? Should players be allowed to leave the game if they still have a mothership? I vote no. Serral probably quite happy. Because even though he's in an okay position to outright win the game, he still has several steps. He has to fight against the storm. He has to continue maneuvering his lurkers to potentially actually kill the base, because that's his best opportunity to force the issue. What a game, though. I think the ending, taking away from how hectic, the fact we saw in the battle report, which I actually saw a question about the battle report as well. I'm trying to answer your questions, especially if they're easily answered while we have some downtime while the probe flirts with the minerals. The battle report is a side effect of an observer mod used while the players are playing. You can't get it on the ladder or most of your replays. You have to use the Observer Plus Plus mod, I believe, is what it's called. Yes, because there was Observer Plus, and then like they had to update it. For some reason, we just went at the... Either way, that's what allows access to the battle report, which shows... well, in this case, it's the World Team League version, but it shows units lost, damage done. Pretty much if a unit is lost, it gets added to it. And if no units are lost for 30 seconds, it resets. So what that means is for over 6 minutes straight, they were fighting. Sure, it might have just been a Zergling or a few locusts, but they were going back and forth for over 6 minutes with 2 massive armies. Honestly, it probably could have gone a couple more, so... these two testing the absolute limits. But... MaxPax. It does feel like the swarm hosts are a bit of an Achilles heel for him. It's kind of a rare strategy. You don't see it much except on that sort of map. He just let him go. At no point did he actually fight the swarm hosts outright. It's very hard to actually kill them, but he just kind of weathered it with storm. And it was still kind of working. He built an obscene amount of Immortals and Templar, but it also feels like he was trying to ignore them outright, which does cost you in the long run. Void Ray comes out. The Overlord, did you not notice? The Overlord's in the most obvious possible location, which actually kept it alive, but lights up against another one. Two Overlords down. Warp gate, now done, opening up. And 2 more gases very quickly, so we're looking at very likely Twilight and Blink from the Twilight Toss. You can't cheat. No more GGing while you still have a mothership. Okay. Should be like a fine or something. Still upset about it. Like and subscribe if you agree. Dislike and subscribe if you disagree. Twilight and Forge, slapping down a few more gates. We actually haven't seen a huge commitment to the blink pressure. I mean, okay, I take it back. I'm thinking of like the hero-esque, literally only blink stalkers, but MaxPax in 2 out of 3 games has smoothly transitioned from blink into stronger armies, full of storm, archons, as many charge slots as possible. It wasn't enough in game 1, it was more than enough in game 2. We'll see if he's able to have a repeat performance here. Game 4. Lights up the Void Ray. It may actually burn through. Queen scrambling over. And the prismatic alignment will run out. The Oracle gonna use the Queen's being out of position. He actually forces the cancel. Oh, wow. Quite a moderate blow there for Serral. Getting his 4th base delayed by a single Void Ray. Now, not really losing, I guess, 4 drones to the Oracles and Adepts in those early shenanigans, but still plenty of economy to work with. It's 6 gates. Serral very much ready for the Blink Stalkers, but it comes down to execution. There's already a stasis on the way. No extra creep outside of the 3rd base, which means the Stalkers can trot right up to it and potentially start hitting it immediately. And the Void Ray's back for more. The Blink Stalkers and the stasis at the back, but that creates something of a force field for the Stalkers. That's the beauty of the stasis. It doesn't just lock out the units, but they create impassable terrain, which for teleported units is very helpful. The Void Ray maneuvering around. Oracle moving in. Doesn't have enough energy to really support now anymore, though. Have to be a bit careful, but there's not too much creep to work with, so for the most part, the Stalkers will be able to back off with ease. And, oh no. Brandon, no! Run! Oh, good job. All right, you're fine. Smooth blinks back. Barely, he pretty much perfectly juggles the shield damage as well. None of those Stalkers bruised. Though that may change momentarily. Wow, this is some impeccable blink micro so far, and I'm ready to jinx it. Nope, the stasis comes in again. The Zergling's already pre-thinned out. He kills some of his own Zerglings with corrosive bile. And Serral does not have a big economic advantage. He doesn't have a lot of tech on the way. He has 2 Dropper Lords in production. Does he even have Overlord speed? He does. Did he notice? Is this a Queen drop? What's the plan here? Serral clearly intent on getting some damage done. He has no more tech at all. He's building 7 OVs at a time. A little bit supply blocked at a very key moment. And is coming across the map. The Queens are marching. The double drop, maybe even just faking it or leaving the options open. But the Templar Storm is 5 seconds out. Storm, it's already done. Comes in, and it's too late! MaxPax chronoed too hard, and the Storms are fully operational by the time the Zerg army arrives. Serral is routed, and the Queens awkwardly tried to... Nope, passing on the left. My left or your left? No, we have the same left. Hydralisk Den Infestation Pit loads up into the Dropper Lords, but MaxPax knows that Serral was trying to hit this timing. Serral's trying to fill in the blanks, but MaxPax will have the initiative for quite a while yet. That is a beefy Protoss army with plenty of Storm behind it. It's just Ravagers and Lings. The double drop is headed for the main. The Storms on the front line and the back, and the stasis protects him completely. Oh, what a beautiful engagement from MaxPax. And Zealots are warped in to deal with this. He already has a cannon and a shield battery. Charge lots to the north side. MaxPax has set himself up perfectly here. What a flawless execution. Serral's still ahead on supply, but he's done no damage. His upgrades are inferior. The Templar are being protected, though some of them going to be taken out by corrosive bile. Archon's merging. And, well, he might be able to get him. Loses one more, but keeps the pressure on. And now the Warp Prism, the Queen's looking to chase it down, but it's going to make it all the way to the main. The Queen's moving into position. He might be able to take it out. And get off my creep for the general vicinity. All right, moving on. Things getting a bit strung out for MaxPax, but he has plenty of workers back at home. Serral just started a hive. Archon goes down. A few more Templar coming up. And those Templar, they just have so much energy. The Storms are endless. Melee attacks level 2. Lurker Den is on the way, but Fleet Beacon for MaxPax. I have a feeling we're not going to get that far. The Blink Stalkers cut off 3 of the Queens. The Zealots are slicing through the Zerglings, the main brunt of the Protoss army, down through the 3rd base. Corrosive Bow's actually landing on some of the Templar, but the Storm's landing across the entire Zerg army. Charge lots in the natural. Charge lots cleaned up at the 4th. But MaxPax, GG! We're going to game number 5. MaxPax turns it around completely from the awkward GG in game 3 to a decisive victory in game 4. Serral looking lost. He had the setup. He had the Overseer as soon as possible timed out to get a Contaminate on Storm. But MaxPax just chrono boosted it a bit too quickly. And that brings us to one more game to decide who will be our grand finalist. MaxPax, arguably the best Protoss player in the world. Certainly when he is on point with some of the best execution. Serral, the greatest of all time, adapting constantly to a changing landscape, balance patches that seem not so subtly directed directly at him, but has recovered time and time again and stays at that bleeding edge. It'll all be solved here on Whispers of Gold. And no, we're not talking about your latter career, but instead, Game 5. MaxPax sends out the early probe. Serral, the drone's headed down. Does he have the minerals? It's going to be very quick. Oh, no. About just a few minerals off. That's enough to make sure the probe is in position. And Serral will be forced to take his third base. What a series. Seen a full spread of games. Serral trying... It feels like his initial... He wanted to play a more defensive macro game because that's what Serral always does. But he decided to pull the trigger on the Roachling all-in. And he set himself up well for it. But it was just a little bit too late. MaxPax was not wasting any time on teching up behind. Probe gonna flirt with the minerals. It's always awkward to deal with the Blink Stalkers. There's no right answer. Because there is no Zerg unit that has the micro ability of a Blink Stalker. And with the Oracles having... It feels like unlimited energy. It is limited, but significantly less so. For stasis and just to have those beams lit up as well. The margin for error is quite thin. But of course, if MaxPax at any point just misblinks or is a little bit slow or overcommits, he loses complete map control. And because of the nature of the matchup, it's unlikely he loses the game immediately. But then Serral takes another base or two, gets 80 drones, and just pummels him into submission. We kind of saw that in game 1. So the back and forth with the Blink Stalkers leads itself to the rest of things. And MaxPax, God, it's so... Feels like he's controlling them with his mind. Like, yeah, just blink back the Stalkers. Like an AI blinking back the Stalkers. The moment they run out of shields or a tenth of a second before the corrosive biles land. It's perfectly done. Dodging with the Sport. Adept gonna be annoying, as he was able to block that second base. So much easier for the Adepts to find a good spot to deal with the drones. Zerglings with speed. Enough of them to deny the third base. So he's got the Oracle on station. Only 29 drones right now for Serral. Building enough Zerglings to deal with any Adepts, as well as potentially deny the third base. And the timing near perfect. Waiting until the Oracles come out. A second Oracle just finished, though. The Zergling's already on top of the Nexus. Will he commit fully? Pulls back from the Adept. He's actually full committing. And the Zerglings, he does get the cancel, but it will cost him most of the lings. And back at home, just burns out another drone. Another drone pops out, goes for the Evo chamber, has more HP to help deal with it. Where are you going, drones? No! Getting stretched like a Laffy Taffy, but I don't think he's laughing right now. Serral lost an Overlord, going to be supply blocked momentarily. So far, no other attack. Twilight Council, but just a Twilight Council on the way for MaxPax. And definitely way later on the gas. Only one gas at the natural. Adept Glaives. Game 5. I've always criticized Protoss players for their proclivity to do this build whenever they think it'll mix things up and they want to play another card. But this feels like the perfect timing for it. He hasn't shown it at all. He hasn't even done some of the, like, Shady Bunch timings where there's 4 to 6 Adepts with some Oracles. No. It's just been straight to Blink Stalkers or Archon drop every game. Serral, his Overlords are dead. He has no vision. There might be... A Roach one will be done. But he's going for a 4th base. He's going up to 70 drones. He doesn't... 2 Overlords are on the way. He is supply blocked. And here come the Adepts. Oh, no. It is a disaster for Serral. He has 0 roaches in production. He was lulled into a false sense of security. And now his entire base is vulnerable. The Adepts surrounded by drones. Glaives finishes mid-fight, so it isn't as horrible as it could be. 10 drones dead to start, and it's just the beginning. The Adepts will shade through, just walking past. Ends up getting to the main base. The first roaches are popping out, but it might be too little, and it's possibly too late. Serral finishes his lair. More Adepts are coming through. Remember, he had so many drones that losing 20 doesn't actually put him that far behind. But more Adepts in the 3rd base. And shading into the natural. There's nowhere to go. Everywhere is being overrun. Teleporting through, targeting more drones. Roach is on the way. He doesn't even have Roach speed in production, so any counterattack is going to be hamstrung significantly. More drones dead. 29 drones. No, wait! There's still one in the main. He's gonna get a couple more. 30 drones slaughtered. There's no Roach speed. There's only 4 roaches at all. MaxPax has 69 drones to be precise. He's done incredibly nice damage. Has plenty of economy back at home. He has Blink and +1 on the way. Serral's just... he's going with the... If I get so greedy and he gets scared of a massive counterattack... Serral has already pre-vetoed the potential counter swing, as it's already been too late. MaxPax is prepared. He's got a cannon, batteries. Templar Archives is halfway done. Blink and +1. The Zerglings intercepted by the soon-to-be Blink Stalkers. And Serral has spent all this time recovering his unit count. He has about as many Zerglings as MaxPax has Stalkers. And while Stalkers aren't amazing against Zerglings, those numbers do not add up. They spell...
The numbers don't lie!
Disaster.
They spell disaster for you!
Serral trying to rush a hive. And if he survives the Lurkers, he's deemed that his best chance to stay in this series and in this tournament. But... MaxPax is one pretty decent fight away from once again claiming victory over Serral, which has eluded him the last few series. Stalkers grinding through the queens. Not enough energy. He's been using on everything else. The Zerglings triggering the stasis wards. 76 drones for Serral. He's been able to bounce back. The Stalkers are not the greatest at dealing with this, and with Roaches and Ravagers behind, but he doesn't even have Roach speed. More Stalkers coming up. He can't really close the distance, but the hive is about to complete. MaxPax, 76 workers. He has his 4th base. He's playing it relatively safe. But honestly, if he waits too long, then Serral will be able to bounce back economically and have the tech to deal with even the next level of MaxPax's army, which is going to be the Templar. He's warping in 5 Adepts. As well, the Templar have storms ready. Lurkers on the way. Oracle for detection. Also going to be very important with the lurkers coming. Storm. But Templar at the back almost gets us around. Pulls back once the storms are triggered. Adepts! Adepts shading into the 3rd. The Stalkers blinking forward. The storms washing over everything. Serral plummeting in supply. The lurkers will hold for now. More Stalkers coming forward. The Queens coated by the storms. And Serral, he's desperately trying to hold out for lurker range. 9 more zealots are being warped in. Another lurker going to be taken out before it can finish morphing. And he just moves around to the side. The fleet beacon is on the way as well. The lurkers takes out another queen, looking for more, tries to get the surround, does so for now. Stasis will protect the rest, and the Archons are merging. Serral on top of the Archons. He's not recalling them either. A few charge lots coming in towards the 3rd base, but a great pick-off here, but he gets both Archons away. A couple zealots, no, many zealots, a couple lurkers to try to keep this at bay. But for now, Serral down to 120 supply. The Archons buffering. The creep spread denied for the most part. +1 ranged attack now done. MaxPax at 80 workers to Serral's 70. But Serral is holding. The fleet beacon is completed. Mothership joins the production tab. And another wave of Templar is gliding forward. 5 lurkers on the field. There's only 1 revelation ready. And the lurkers get a very good angle here. Serral holding for now. 11 more zealots being warped in as half a dozen Zerglings came to the wrong neighborhood. Again, MaxPax swinging back to the right side. Revelation takes out one of the lurkers. Eviscerates a second. Storms on the mineral line. Serral struggling to keep up. His units just can't maneuver this quickly. The observer on station. More storms evaporating all the defenses. G. Serral taps out, and MaxPax will defeat him. 3 games to 2. No matter how many awkward GGs, no matter how many awkward timings, MaxPax, when left unchecked, or once he gets the momentum, almost unstoppable. Honestly, every game of the series showing that. Almost impossible to take back momentum once you've lost it. A dramatic and exhausting series, but MaxPax outplaying Serral to reach the grand finals of the Liu Li Championship. $7,000 or so on the line. And for the first time in quite a while, MaxPax going to be competing at that level. So, good to see. Also, he felt a lot more decisive. Besides the Swarm Host game, MaxPax feeling he knows he could beat Serral. It's just sometimes it doesn't feel like he believes in it. But today, well, we're all believers. MaxPax moves on. Serral moves out. And hopefully you move to smash that like button and subscribe. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon. Thank you to our Mule tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Appreciate it. Big Jiggy, Dork, Mario, and glad you still enjoy. And I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Look forward to the grand finals. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you again to the Liu League Cup and Saber for putting it on. Looking forward to more as always. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.